Police sirens slicing through the sticky summer air, my neighbor's son screaming for my arrest, his mother, Queen Karen herself, howling in the driveway while the whole street stares and my own officers stand there waiting for me to say the word. I swear in that moment it almost felt like the world had tilted off its axis and crashed into the messiest showdown I'd ever seen in my life, all over a damn trunk full of groceries, my groceries, which I'd paid for, planned for, and nearly dislocated a shoulder hauling home. That was the day a couple of spoiled neighbors tried to drag my name, my pride, and my position through the mud, never dreaming they'd just picked a fight with the chief of police of Edgewood, or that their own little kingdom was about to fall apart brick by brick, in front of everyone. You want to know how it all started? A Saturday afternoon, humid as a steam room, just me and a carload of snacks and drinks for the weekend, thinking I might actually get a few hours of peace for once. The street was its usual self, perfectly trimmed hedges, a few garden gnomes, and the kind of silence that's only broken by the whir of sprinklers or a neighbor's half-hearted wave. I'd just grabbed the last bag from the trunk when I heard it. That voice, sharp as a tack, dripping with the kind of entitlement that makes your spine itch. "Hey, what do you think you're doing with our groceries?" I turned around slow, arms full, sweat beating down my back. And there he was, Brady Williams, the 22-year-old golden boy from next door, fresh home from college and full of attitude, pointing at me like I'd just robbed his grandma. I'm not new to this. Brady and his mother, Linda, have been a thorn in my side since the day I moved in. Linda's the type who calls the HOA if your grass gets a quarter-inch too long, the type who has the HOA board on speed dial, always has an opinion, and makes sure everyone hears it. That day, Brady was channeling his mother at full volume, finger jabbing, voice rising. "Mom said the delivery truck dropped the party supplies by mistake. Those are for my birthday tonight. Hand them over, or I'm calling the cops." Now, I've been threatened with the cops before, never with quite so much confidence by a kid who'd probably never been pulled over for a busted tail light. I kept my voice calm, that special kind of calm you only get from years of practice. "Are you sure about that?" I glanced at the trunk, the neat rows of kale chips, organic sodas, things the Williams family wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, and tried to keep my patience from slipping through my teeth. But he doubled down, stepped closer, chest puffed, trying to look bigger than he was. "Don't act clever. Delivery guys mess up all the time. Just give me the bags and we'll call it even. My mom will be furious." I could practically see Linda behind the curtains, peeking out, waiting to make her grand entrance. You know the type, the kind of neighbor who has never once said hello, but always seems to know when your trash bins are out of place or your car's parked an inch too close to the curb. The kind of person who, a week ago, accused me of stealing her newspaper when the wind blew it into my yard, who's never missed a chance to remind the neighborhood who's in charge, or who she thinks is in charge. This was a performance, not a misunderstanding, and I could feel it in my bones. The whole thing reeked of that mix of power games and something uglier, something that always hung heavy in the air between our two houses. I told him, "They dropped these here, at my address, for my order. Maybe double, check your own delivery, son." The word son was deliberate, calm but edged. But reason isn't a strong suit for people like Brady, and he wasn't having any of it. He just huffed and whipped out his phone, thumb hovering over the screen. "Fine, I'm calling the police. You're going to regret this. You have no idea who my mom knows." And I swear, I had to stop myself from laughing, just for a split second, because the irony was thicker than the summer air. He didn't know, not even a clue, who he was threatening. By the time Linda exploded out the front door, blonde hair set like a helmet, voice sharper than a fire alarm, half the block was already peeking through their blinds. She stormed over, finger pointed, voice rising. "Marcus, what are you doing now? Those are our party groceries. You never belong here, always causing trouble, always pushing the rules." And of course, she was already dialing her phone, already barking at someone to get the HOA involved and send an officer Immediately. She had a crowd before she even finished her rant. A couple of neighbors walked out, drawn like moths to drama. You could feel the tension shift. Linda had done this dance before. Raise your voice, create a scene, make the other person look guilty before anyone's heard the facts. Here's where the HOA comes in. Edgewood's legendary for it. If you so much as think about planting a bush an inch off the line, Linda's got your photo in the Facebook group, and you'll find a letter on your porch the next morning. She's not even the president, just the unofficial enforcer. But somehow the board listens to her more than they do the actual chair. And every time she wants something, she's got the rule book in one hand and her phone in the other, just waiting for the chance to swing both. This time, she turned the neighborhood into her audience, dragging my name through the mud, calling me a menace and a problem, reminding everyone of every time I dared to question a rule or show up at an HOA meeting with actual ideas. I kept my mouth shut, mostly just standing there, bags in hand, feeling my blood pressure creep up. I could see where this was going. It wasn't about groceries, never had been. It was about putting me in my place, testing how far they could push me, and seeing if I'd finally snap. I wanted to believe reason would win, that the truth would matter, but I could feel my patience cracking. Like, what's the point of being the chief of police if, out here, in my own driveway, I'm still just another suspect in someone else's story? But the show was just getting started. Brady called 911, made a whole production of it. Yes, officer, there's a suspicious man, late 40s, stealing our groceries. He's being aggressive. He won't leave. I feel threatened. He kept glancing at me, making sure I was listening, his voice shaking just enough to sound like a victim. Linda was in the background, adding her own flair. He's done this before, always threatening us. Please send someone immediately. By then, more neighbors had gathered, some pretending to water their lawns, some just standing there openly watching. I could feel their eyes on me, some sympathetic, most just curious, waiting to see if the spectacle would turn ugly. And that's when the police car rolled up, 2 young officers, faces I knew well, uniforms still crisp, moving with that uncertain confidence you only see in rookies. Brady went off like a firecracker. Officers, thank God, he tried to steal our food. He's been threatening us. I want him arrested. He put on a show, voice cracking, almost in tears, finger trembling as he pointed at me like I was some stranger off the street. Linda chimed in, her voice reaching a pitch only dogs could truly appreciate. He doesn't belong here. He's ruining the neighborhood. I pay your salary. Do your job. The officers looked from them to me, back to them, caught in the headlights, not sure who to believe, just going by the script. I could see the doubt flicker in their eyes as I explained, calm as I could. Officers, I live here. That's my car, my groceries. Check the address. There's been a mistake. But logic doesn't always work when the crowd's already been whipped up. And I'll admit, standing there, I felt small, angry, alone. For a split second, I started to wonder if I should just drop the bags and walk away. If fighting was even worth it. If I was just feeding their drama, making myself the villain in their little HOA soap opera. Was I overreacting? Was it worth the trouble to stand my ground for a couple bags of chips and a Saturday night alone? There's this moment, I think everyone's had it, when you feel the weight of every little slight, every time you've had to prove yourself, and you start to question if maybe you are the problem. Maybe it'd be easier to just give in and keep the peace. I stared at those grocery bags, felt the ache in my arms, and for a heartbeat, I wanted to drop them and walk inside, let them win. But something inside me snapped, a kind of quiet, stubborn anger that said no, not today. I remembered every time I'd been pushed around, every time someone thought their rules, their name, their status gave them the right to control me. I'm not here because someone let me in. I earned every stripe, every ounce of respect, and I wasn't about to let Linda Williams and her bratty son strip that away in front of my neighbors, my officers, my city. So when the officers asked for my ID, I pulled out my wallet and, with the same steady hand I've used 100 times before, showed them my badge, Chief of Police, Edgewood PD. I didn't say a word, just let the silence hang. The look on their faces, shock, realization, a little bit of panic, was almost worth the hassle. Linda didn't get it at first, still ranting, still demanding my arrest, threatening lawsuits, reminding the officers she knows the mayor personally. Brady was sputtering. "He's faking. That can't be real. He probably stole that badge too." But the officers had already clocked it. They straightened up. Their tone changed, and I could see the tide turning. One officer turned to Linda, calm but firm. "Ma'am, you need to understand the seriousness of making a false report. Chief Carter is not only your neighbor, he's my commanding officer, and you've just accused him of a crime he didn't commit." That was the moment Linda's face crumbled. The color drained right out of her, and Brady suddenly looked a lot less sure of himself, taking a step back, eyes darting around like he was looking for an escape. It didn't stop there, of course. The officers started taking statements, recording everything. A couple neighbors came forward, quietly telling the truth, that they saw the groceries delivered to my house, that they'd never once seen me act out, that Linda was always stirring up trouble when she didn't get her way. Even the HOA president, usually glued to Linda's hip, kept his distance, not wanting to get dragged into the mess. Meanwhile, Brady was practically in tears, begging his mother to do something, Linda mumbling about misunderstanding, swearing she never meant any harm, asking if this could just go away quietly. But there was no way out. Everything was on record. The call logs, the accusations, the crowd. The consequences weren't just legal, they were social, personal, public, for years. Linda had ruled this street, bullied her way through every argument, used the HOA as her personal attack dog. Now, everyone could see the truth. The Queen had no clothes. The fallout was immediate. The police took their reports, explained to Linda and Brady that filing a false report is a crime, that harassment and racial intimidation, no matter how subtle, would be investigated by the DA. News travels fast in a place like Edgewood. By sundown, everyone on the block knew what happened. By morning, my phone was blowing up with messages from city officials, reporters, old friends. The HOA called an emergency meeting, suddenly eager to distance themselves from the Williams family, reviewing every complaint Linda had filed in the past 5 years. The city council launched an ethics review. Even Linda's husband, the ever-absent Greg Williams, local real estate mogul and city council member, had to release a statement apologizing for his family's deeply regrettable misunderstanding, his words stiffer than cardboard, his eyes screaming damage control. Linda tried to walk it back, emails to the neighborhood, long Facebook posts about respect and miscommunication, but it was too late. Videos of the scene, the shouting, the police response, Linda's shrill voice, Brady's threats, my silent stare, all made their way online, drawing outrage and memes in equal measure. Edgewood's darling HOA enforcer was now the subject of every group chat, every coffee shop whisper, every city council discussion. She stopped showing up to meetings. Her invitations dried up. Even the few friends who had stuck by her started to drift away, embarrassed or just tired of being associated with the mess. Greg's real estate deals took a hit. Rumors swirled about insider shenanigans, political favors. The Williams name, once untouchable, was now a punchline. Me? I felt a mix of relief and exhaustion, pride and a lingering bitterness. I'd won. Yes, the truth had come out, my dignity restored, my authority recognized. But it came with a cost, the knowledge that even after decades of service, one bad day and the right rumor could have ruined everything. That's how quick it happens, how fast power can shift, how a simple act like unloading groceries can become a battlefield for respect, identity, and justice. Standing there on my driveway, groceries finally in hand, the sun starting to set, I looked over at the Williams house, shades drawn, music from the failed party drifting through the walls, the lawn eerily quiet, and felt, not triumph, but a quiet satisfaction. Not every fight ends with cheers or applause. Sometimes It ends with the silence that follows when a bully finally meets a wall they can't knock down. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: stand your ground, know your worth, and never let anyone use their rules to take away your dignity.